Agriculture is still a foundation for the economy of many African countries, employing about 60% of the workforce and contributing an average of 30% of gross domestic product, according to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO). Despite being a crucial sector in many economies, agricultural productivity in the continent is very low. Sub-Saharan African countries, including Ethiopia, experience tremendous amount of production loss during post-harvest. According to the research conducted in 2016, over 24% of production depletes after harvest activities. This figure has a negative implication to their economies, even if there is a disparity from country to country. In accordance with the research conducted by many agricultural scholars in Ethiopia, 15 to 20% of agricultural products incur loss while handling crops after the harvest season. This loss is said to result in incredibly vast economic failure in the country.
የድህረ ምርት ብክነትን ሰዎች እንደሚያስቡት የሚፈስ እህል በሆነ ቦታ ላይ ደግሞ የምትባክን እህል አይደለችም።
Post-harvest loss doesn't actually mean the depletion of small amount of grains in physical terms. The loss during the harvest had the capacity to feed a number of people. It is incurred both in terms of quantity and quality. When we say in terms of quantity, it implies the amount it reaches to the consumer. Quality also diminishes through various variables. Rodents like mice would bring much damage on agricultural products. Humidity also brings huge damage on the quality of crops. In general, quantity and quality of products may not be maintained as expected due to poor handling of harvest.
Numerous reasons could be attributed for a decreased yield after harvest. Many scholars point out human factor as the prime reason for post-harvest loss.
በዋናነት የድህረ ምርት ብክነት ብለን የምንጀምረው ልክ ምርቱ ከደረሰበት ጀምሮ ለአጨዳ ከደረሰበት ጊዜ ጀምሮ
Crops primarily sustain loss during the time of pre-harvest to the time of post-harvest. During the pre-harvest, threshing and transportation might incur a heavy damage. After the threshing, grains would be stored in barn and transferred to the consumer. Damage might happen to agricultural products in all these levels.
በቤት ወይም ወደ ጎተራ ከገባ በኋላ በተለያዩ ተባዮች ካጠቃቀም ጉድለት የተነሳ
After crops are stored, it might be exposed to various damages due to parasites and lack of proper handling. As a result, products would incur huge damage before reaching to consumers. 24 up to 25% of the crop becomes out of use during the post-harvest. The loss is immensely considerable.
ወደ 345 ሚሊዮን ኩንታል ምርት እናመርታለን ብለን
We have a plan to collect over 345 million quintals of product this year. If you are to have 20% of loss out, we will nearly lose over 60 million quintals of crop. This basically feeds a huge number of people.
The care given for crops by the farmers is claimed by many scholars as traditional and below the standard. The poor handling of agricultural products is manifested in collecting crops in below the standard barns and putting them in the pit in the ground.
Our product storing mechanism is through digging a hole on the ground. This method of storing crops is more of a disadvantage. The loss we face is much more than its benefit. What is more, it changes the taste and is not demanded in the market.
አሁን ጉድጓዱ ላይ ሁለት ጉድጓድ ጥሬ አለ ሁለት ጉድጓድ ጥሬ ዱያለሁ
I dug 2 holes on the ground for storage, each containing 4 quintals of crop, which now become out of use due to improper storage.
ከዚህ በፊት የሚደረገው የነበረው ነገር ከበቀሎን ስናነሳ ዘመናዊ እንትን ባህላዊ የሚባል ጎታ ነበረን ከጭቃ የሚሰራ
Previously, we used to utilize better ways of storing crops. In those days, rodents like mice and parasites inflict heavy damage on the crop. In order to deter this, we use chemicals basically to prevent the crop from parasites. However, the chemicals have brought numerous health complications on us. The modern way of storing crop is considerably profitable.
Experts advocate the use of modern techniques to minimize post-harvest loss. The substitution of traditional methods by modern system of storing is essential to save the enormous amount of products directed towards damage. The Ministry of Agriculture and Natural Resources, in collaboration with different stakeholders, is enabling farmers to make use of modern ways of storing agricultural products.
እንደውም አንዳንዶቹ የፖስት ሃርቨስት አዋቂዎች ወይም ተመራማሪዎች ምን ይላሉ we are not producing for losing ይላሉ እኛ የምናመርተው ምርታችንን ለማጣት ሳይሆን የምናመርተው ከምርታችን ለመጠቀም ነው
Many post harvest scholars and researchers have saying which goes we are not producing for losing we should instill such understanding in our farmers it is important to give training for farmers and the pertaining stakeholders at all levels The Ministry, in collaboration with FAO and other institutions, is working in different regional states to improve the trend. We are introducing items like air-proof packets and metal barns, among others.
Farmers who are storing agricultural products in traditional way are now adapting to modern crop storing barns in order to prevent post-harvest loss.
Warramana, akkam jirtu? Jajjabaattu. Oomishni baranaa kun akkam? Misoomni maal fakkaata? Boqqolloo akkam bareeda? Isinoo akkam? Jajjabaattu? Nagaa? Akkam gootaraan ammayyaa kun maal fakkaata? Kabaraan fudhatan kun? Madaabaraan sunoo? Taa ulfaadha taa.
We are having follow-up for our farmers to check whether they are making use of the metal barns properly. We also inform farmers to transfer their experiences to others.
Previously, we used to store crops in traditional barns or in the open air. We are now using modern storing barns since 2015.
Modern way of storing agricultural products offers a remarkable advantage. Scholars in the sector and farmers who are resorting to the modern crop storing mechanisms emphasize the enormous benefits of using modern techniques over the traditional system.
ባህላዊ ከችግር አንፃርና ከአቅም አንፃር ነው እንጂ ማጠቀምም አያስፈልገንም
Traditional way of storing crops has a massive disadvantage as it involves huge loss. The modern storing mechanism is immune from damaging rodents like mice and parasites. We are now able to conserve the crops for over a year. This minimizes loss and is advantageous both in terms of market and personal consumption.
በባህላዊ ስንጠቀም የነበረው ነቀዙ ሲበላው የነበረው አይጡ ሲበላው የነበረው ብክነት
The modern system has prevented our crops from being damaged by mice and parasites. Secondly, we are now saved from using crops seasoned with deadly chemicals.
Modern crop storing mechanisms have enabled to deter the huge amount of product loss during harvest. It is also playing a considerable role in solving the various problems the farmers face. The hope is to make modern crop storing technologies accessed by all farmers in the country.
ከኬሚካል ነፃ በሆነ መንገድ ምርትነን በመጠበቅ በማቆየት ጥራት ባለው መንገድ ወደ ገበያ የማቅረብ ጉዳይ ነው
The modern way of crop storage enables us not to use harsh chemicals. Therefore, the products are safe for export and different food manufacturing companies, and all for the consumers.
በስፋት ብዙ ምርቶች የሚኖሩት ከሆነ ገበሬው
If a farmer produces ample products, he cannot store them all for a long period of time using the traditional burners, because the crops would inevitably be exposed for various parasites and the like. In order to deter this problem, it is important to use this technology.
አቆይተው ደግሞ ገበያ በተሻለ ገበያ ሲፈጠር ወደ ገበያ አውጥተው
With this new mechanism, farmers will have the opportunity to conserve their products for a long time. They could provide it for market at any time. They would also supply to market on seasons when crops become expensive. This is all to say the considerable importance of using modern burns.
በዚህ ፕሮጀክት የዘላቂነት ጉዳይን አካተን ይሰራ
We are working on this project mainly to ensure sustainability. We have trained many youngsters working on welding. They are now able to produce a metal barn in parallel with teaching it to the farmers. Both the farmers as well as the youth would benefit from this.
We were engaged in metal and furniture works before we got the training and start producing these metal burns. This appears to be more profitable as many farmers demand it.
የጤና መድን እንለዋለን የጤና መድን አሁን ተጉዳይ አልጣፍ ነው መጀመሪያ ሲሰጣና
We used to have no proper attention for this way of crop storing. It is tremendously useful. It is really a life-saving insurance.
በነገራችን ላይ ይሄ ቴክኖሎጂ የምርምር ውጤት ነው
By the way, this mechanism of crop storage is an outcome of a research. The research primarily identifies the case as a main problem on agriculture. It recommended improved ways of crop storing devices. The ministry pledged to come up with additional new technology outputs for farmers.
እኛ ወደ 270 ሚሊዮን ምርት እናመርታለን ካልነው 25% ያህሉ በድህረ ምርት ይባክናል በድህረ ምርት ብክነት ይባክናል ስንል
We estimate to produce over 240 million quintals of crops. However, 25% of the produce incurs damage on post-harvest season. This loss has the capacity to feed enormous number of people. Farmers should pay attention to the pre-harvest and post-harvest activities. We shouldn't assume it as a simple loss.
Figures indicate that the amount of loss incurred during the pre-harvest and post-harvest activities is enormous in the sub-Saharan Africa. Deploying modern systems crop storage is one way of altering this huge loss that could feed millions of Africans. Hence, all the stakeholders in the sector are expected to render due attention and come up with more innovations to save the considerable amount of loss inflicted on agricultural productivity and reverse food insecurity.